Good afternoon, Luke. How are we?
Yeah, good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, very good, thank you. We've spoken a number of times over the course of the season about a beer after a win being the best kind of beer. Just how good was that one on Sunday?
Yeah, probably the best one I've ever had. I think it was a really incredible set of emotions that we all went through. So yeah, needed a couple of beers to just try and calm down after that.
I think we all did. But can you enjoy those moments though, or was it just instant focus and knowing that there's another huge game this weekend?
Yeah, I think it was probably relief was the emotion I was experiencing most after the game. Just exhausted and just relieved that that the players had found a way to get us to the final. And then yeah, of course, then as the day wore on, by the evening time, you're just thinking about the preparations for the final.
Yeah, and in that game, obviously Jody Jones scored the winner and Aidan Baldwin scored twice, becoming the 18th and 19th different scorers for you this season. They pick the moments, don't they?
Yeah, and we've been trying to convince the guys that that they can score, because it can become like a thing that you make too much of. But there's no better way to do it than in this big moment.
I've just spoken to Carl Cameron and just wanted to get your thoughts on it as well. There was something that perhaps went slightly under the radar in extra time was the importance of Aaron Nemand's clearance in extra time. Just how important was that along with the goals as well?
Yeah, we highlighted that in our debrief, and this is the type of action that is required in these huge games, because the opposition are completely tuned in, and they're desperate to pounce on any error at all, and we allowed the player in the channel to cross the ball, but Aaron matched the run. He was so switched on, and it was a huge moment, and we highlighted that, and so impressed with Aaron. I think he's worked on the defensive side of his game so well. He's such a great guy, and that was as good as a goal.
There was some tired legs out there, and it was a mentally draining encounter. How's the squad doing after that, and are there any concerns ahead of this weekend?
I'm not concerned about anything for the game, but we are still nursing a few bodies. But they trained fully today, and everyone came through that fine. They have a bit more of a recovery session tomorrow, so we should be in a good place for our final preparations on Friday.
But despite the result of the weekend and the way in which you came back, you did say after the game there were some concerning moments during the contest. How do you go about rectifying those ahead of Saturday?
Yeah, I think we have to use the game as a lesson for us to to be completely focused in the game and not be distracted by the atmosphere, or what's at stake, and don't have these thoughts entering your mind when you still have a job to do. And I feel that's going to be crucial for the final as well.
Obviously, you've played Chesterfield twice already this season, and in the last encounter where you won 2-1, you said after the game that that was the most dominated that you had felt this season. What are you expecting from them this weekend, and how do you aim to try and combat that?
Yeah, I was very unhappy with the performance on that day, and really, if we want to be able to win this game, we have to play far better than that. And I know we're capable of that, but it has to come together on a day. So yeah, that's the message to the players. We have to play very well. We have to be completely tuned in, completely switched on for the entire game. And then I think we're a test for anybody.
You welcome back some of your loan players last week, and I saw that Ed Francis was involved in training as well. How important will they be for the final wins? Their character around the group.
Yeah, exactly that. And we've been so grateful to the guys, because they're so invested with the squad, and their attitude, their body language in training, their effort in training is absolutely top. And we have to have that, because otherwise training becomes too easy and there's the wrong feeling around the place, the wrong focus. But we've got really brilliant players in the squad that support, even if they're not in the starting lineup, not in the squad. We have such good guys that support and train brilliantly.
And then just finally from me, something that's just surfaced just before I've spoken to you is that Jody Jones has not been offered a new deal with Oxford United, and obviously with his loan spell coming to an end after Saturday. Is that something that has interested you as such, or are you just purely focused on the game and then what happens after that happens?
Well, of course we're interested. We have to focus completely everything on the game and not be sidetracked by anything at all. But it goes without saying that we really like Jody a lot. We think he's a super player. We think he's a really good guy. We feel like he fits in brilliantly with what we're trying to do. So we have to focus on the game, and then I'm sure there'll be conversations after that.
As always, Luke, thank you very much for your time, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you. Thanks very much, Ollie.
Jake, Knox TV.
Hi Luke, how are you?
Yeah, very well, thanks. Yourself?
Yes, yeah, very well, thank you, very well. Just to very quickly follow up on Jody Jones there, I'm just interested to know a little bit about what he's like to have around as a person and what he's made of his contributions since joining Meadow Lane on loan.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, he's great to have around, is the short answer. Absolutely loves and passionate about football. Obviously very, very talented. And I think that he's adapting well to the way that we want to work, and certain things that probably are not natural to him, how he's played his football so far in his career. But he's applied himself brilliantly and come on board with things that I know have been challenging for him. So somebody that we've been very impressed with on and off the pitch.
Great stuff. And following the incredible game on Sunday, where everyone's just about caught the breath and the heart rate's come down, what's the mood been like around the camp since then? Have you had to have any talks with the players or anything like that to either calm them down or get them refocused, or is it all just all guns blazing for Saturday?
No, we've had some conversations already, and there will be some more one-to-one conversations with myself. I think the mood is jubilant, but there's also, I think, a feeling that we survived something. We got a kiss of life, and that I think there's maybe a bit more subdued feeling in the camp than there was, of course, on the day, because everyone was so pumped with the way that the game unfolded. But there's a bit more of a calm and focus, I feel.
Great stuff. And I've just spoken to Carl a moment or so ago, who says the preparations have been as normal as they can be, as like any other game. And how important is it to make sure that to not play the occasion and to treat it as almost just another game, despite everything that's on the line?
Yeah, often we say things to the players, and previously, I'm sure myself and I've witnessed times when we say things to players and then our actions are really controversial, when not hand in hand with the words. So I want the players to treat the game in a very similar way, and therefore we've made preparations in a very similar way, because I don't want at this stage to unsettle the group or have them second guess themselves, or obviously we analyse the previous performance and try to take the lessons like we have done for all of the games, and now try to have a familiarity to the week and try and prepare in a sensible way.
I mean, you spoke about it as well, but a local derby in a final, not only are the stakes high, but what an occasion it promises to be.
Yeah, a local derby with I think two clubs that are in the wrong place at this moment in time, and two very well supported clubs. So I think it's a brilliant occasion. For I'm sure the only country on the planet that you can have a game of this size in the fifth tier. So it's remarkable. The interest and the passion for football in this country is, I think, higher than anywhere else you'd see in the world.
And forgive me for asking, will this be your first time in a professional capacity at Wembley?
No, I was assistant manager at Swindon Town in the League One playoff final. We got destroyed by Preston, so it was a steep learning curve for me. But no, I've been there as a assistant manager at League One.
Is there anything that you can take from that game, assistant managers, kind of like learnings from the occasion, or anything that went well, or maybe not in that particular case that you can draw on this time around?
Yeah, hopefully, there's one or two things that in hindsight we could have done differently, and I try to implement those things here. And whether they help us, I really hope they help us. But we will only know how good our preparation was and how thorough our attention to detail when we actually see the outcome of the game.
Sure, and I know you asked a moment ago about the kind of game you're expecting. Do you get the sense that Chesterfield could try and make it a bit of a battle and try and stifle you? Do you think that will be their approach, and that it's your job to play around that and not get drawn into how they want to play? Yeah,
I think there's certainly a lot of respect between the two teams, and I don't think anybody is comfortable with us in our flow. So of course I'm sure they're going to try and disrupt our flow of our rhythm, and we know that they are a brilliant team as well, and we have to try to not allow them to feel relaxed in the game at any point. So I think it's two teams that have the capability to defend well against each other and to attack ferociously against each other.
And just a final one from me. I heard the post-match interview from the game on Sunday, and you said that when that winner went in, there was a cocktail of emotion, and if it was bottled up, it would end up being quite dangerous. I mean, with that in mind, what would it mean to you to be able to achieve that end goal of getting this club back in the Football League, the world's oldest Football League club, back into to League Two?
Yeah, it would be, it'd be the highlight of my professional career as a coach, and I think that it would close the door on one chapter of a journey that we're hoping to go on for a longer period, and we're hoping to bring more success to the club. The club is ready for, obviously, of course, we know the club is ready to play at a high level, and it would mean that we can draw a line under one milestone and move on to the next.
That's brilliant. Best of luck for Saturday, and thanks for your time, Luke.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Mark.
Hi Luke, good to see you. Hope you're well.
Yeah, thank you. You too.
Good. Not that I want to put additional pressure on you that's already there, but is this the most important game in Notts County history?
That's difficult. I think I'd have to really be able to see that laid out in front of me. It's certainly the biggest game for 4 years. Is it 5 years? I think for sure it's it's a very, very big game, and it will rank up there with the biggest, I'm sure. But I'm not sure if it's the biggest game ever for the club, but certainly feels like it to me.
And just on the game last week, and obviously the game to come this weekend, in previous fixtures, really important fixtures like last weekend or against Wrexham, there's been a couple of defensive mistakes, defensive errors, basic errors that have led to goals conceded. I know you talked about eradicating mistakes. Is it a pressure thing when those kind of situations happen in a match, or is it lack of concentration? And how do you remove the risk of those happening in the biggest game this weekend?
I think you have to put it into context, because we saw our own team score from 40 yards, unmarked header from 6 yards, and an error from a goalkeeper. Probably should save Jody Jones' strike, even though it was hit incredibly hard. So I think in the grand scheme of things, I think to put into context, there will always be mistakes, every team. And the higher the stakes, the more chance there is of mistakes happening on the pitch. It's about how you bounce back. And it's also, like I say, it's about putting into perspective. We have forced mistakes relentlessly throughout the whole season on our opponents by aggressively attacking them. And we have an incredibly good defensive record because we've been able to eliminate many, many mistakes from our ourselves. So yes, I understand the question. I have to try to put into context, and I have to try to understand the position the players are in these really big games, and try to help them. So yes, of course we know that we're going to have to try to play a game without huge errors, and we're going to have to try to force the opposition into terrible situations that are challenging for them and difficult. But there isn't a quick fix, and there isn't an easy solution. It's consistency. It's it's something that we've done for the entire season, trying to eradicate mistakes, and we've done a pretty good job of it.
In the last press conference that we had with you, you hinted at a feeling imposter syndrome, really, about first coming to Notts County, perhaps the situation that you're in. Is that something that you potentially may feel in the build-up to this game at Wembley, because it means so much, because it's so important to the club, to the fans at all?
I certainly don't suffer with that at all. I feel like I'm where I should be, for sure. I think when you look at the stadium in the Boreham Wood game and you listen to the noise created and the passion, I don't think that anybody could feel like an imposter at this football club. This football club is geared up. And then if you look at the season that the players have just delivered, there's no way that they can feel like imposters. They're actually, I think, slightly hard done by. I think that they should already be on the beach, having been promoted automatically. So I don't think there's one player in there that feels like we're imposters. Certainly I don't feel like an imposter, and I don't feel like going to Wembley with the backing that we will get will be an environment that we don't belong in. I think it's going to be a perfect fit, in actual fact, to see a huge number of fans in black and white stripes with a team on the pitch that are able to play football in a manner that is suitable for those fans.
Kyle mentioned that a few of the players that were involved in the final against Harrogate a few years ago, quite affected by that. They know what it feels like to be on the losing side in such a huge game. Is that an emotion that's useful to the players coming up to this weekend, or is it one that you don't want to see around?
I think experience is huge, and if you've been to Wembley and suffered, then your worst fears have already come true, and there isn't anything left to fear. Just now, a chance to go and put things right and have a second attempt. You may never get that, and so having been to Wembley like some of us have done and had a really bad experience, this is now a great opportunity. So I think it can only help having been there already.
Just a final one on the fans, if I can, Luke. I asked this to Kyle as well. I'm sure the players, you mentioned that they are aware of the difficulties that Notts County fans are going to have, even Chesterfield fans, to get down to Wembley. Obviously, the coach situation, the train strikes as well. Keeping in mind that the last time the county were at Wembley in the playoff final, fans weren't allowed to be there. What's your feelings, what's your thoughts on the situation this weekend regarding fans and them just managing to get to Wembley?
Well, of course, it's a monumental effort as usual. And I understand anybody who cannot make the journey, of course, and that doesn't make you less of a fan, because there's huge difficulties in travel arrangements and finances and so many different challenges to get there. But I know a huge number will find a way, and when they get there, they will be incredible. I mean, it genuinely, it feels like the fans are on one big WhatsApp group. It feels like they just are so in tune with the team and with each other, and it's something incredible to be involved in, to experience. So I'm disappointed with the situation that the travel arrangements are going to be so difficult, but I know that they will find ways and means, and there'll be a huge number there, and the ones that cannot make it, they'll be supporting us, in their own way, and they'll gather together to make brilliant memories, hopefully together somewhere in Nottingham.
So a message for them for this weekend?
Thank you already so much, because I already know Thank you so much for sucking the ball into the goal against Bournemouth. The Kop is like a big vacuum. Thank you so much for the atmosphere and the noise that you created even before we kicked off. Just really special. And there's no way we'd be going to Wembley without you. So again, just thank you so much, and please, one more big effort.
Well, fingers crossed as many will get there as possible. Luke, all the best to you and the team this weekend. Hopefully you'll do it.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Up next, Kit.
Hi Luke, can you hear me okay?
Yes, thank you.
Excellent, good. I just wanted to pick up on what you said about you think that your team and the players should already be on the beach. So does that, obviously that leads to frustration, and frustration can lead to motivation, but it can also lead to errors of judgment on the pitch. How do you channel that frustration in a positive way at Wembley?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. We knew the situation, by the way, before the season started. We knew only one team went up, so it wasn't like a big shock when we finished second and somebody, dropped a bombshell and said, "Oh, by the way, you're not getting promoted." So, the frustration was a long time ago. That was a long time ago. We moved on from that. We started preparing ourselves weeks before we knew for sure that we were going to be runners up in the campaign. So we're focused, and the frustration is all over now. We're just focused now on trying to win the playoffs.
And I've asked Carl a similar question, and he insisted that promotion was the sole goal, which is I'm sure what you'd say as well. But can you take any kind of pride and solace in what the part you have played and what's been an amazing National League season and what you've done for the profile of the league?
Well, certainly we're proud of our performance, because the staff and the players, we know how incredibly difficult it is to accumulate 107 points in a league campaign, and the consistency in which we've performed. I think we're all happy with our season's work. So yeah, we take pride in that, and we will use that as a base for us to continue trying to work and improve our performance. But of course, it's all been parked to one side for the moment, because we have a one-off game that we have to focus on and try to get the best possible outcome.
Thank you very much, Luke.
Thank you.
Kieran.
Hello, Luke, you well?
Yes, thank you. Yeah.
I asked Kyle about what the mood would be like in the dressing room, obviously after such an enthralling sort of that afternoon against Bournemouth. What has the mood been like in the dressing room from your point of view?
Yeah, good. I'm interested to hear what Carl Cameron had to say, but I think positive, and I think the players are very very upbeat and confident. So I don't see any problem with the changing room at the moment.
That's the only one from me. Cheers.
Thank you.
Josh.
No, I've got all I need. Just good luck this weekend.
Thank you, Josh.
Henry.
Hi, Luke. I was just wondering whether, I think we're all in complete awe of the resilience that your team has shown through various points of the season, including in the Bournemouth game. I just want to know, where does that come from? Does that come from with you, or is that a whole sort of club top to bottom mentality? Where does that sort of come from?
I think it genuinely comes from preparation. We try to play a perfect game, which in our opinion is a game where we create many chances and concede very few. And I think you can never ever achieve that, by the way. You can never play a perfect game, but we have achieved incredibly high attacking numbers and incredibly low defending actions this season. So many games we have been able to play a very controlled, very considered game, where we take almost all of our preparation from the training pitch into the match. But we also have a huge focus and emphasis on people going above and beyond to make extraordinary efforts for the team. Many things that can go unnoticed So I think what you choose to encourage and what you choose to highlight, you're sending a message that this is something that is valuable, you know. And so we place a huge value on people's behaviour, people's huge individual efforts that they make for sacrifice themselves for the team. And I think in this way you have an opportunity to go on the pitch and play in a very controlled way, in a very calm way, to use your quality and your skills as a football player to have a brilliant match. But you also have another option. You have another option to be a special player by sacrificing yourself, by making extraordinary efforts, by putting your body on the line. And I think that way you can tap into whichever mode of performance is required for a game, and that I think for me is a really important thing, is to highlight all parts of the performance to be important.
And you talk about the importance of planning. I was just wondering, do you sort of know in your head what your team talk is? You know, when the boys are waiting to go out for the final time out into the tunnel at Wembley, do you know what your team talk is going to be yet? Have you been sort of planning it, or is it sort of whatever comes to you in that moment is going to be the final words you deliver to your players?
Well, look, I mean, I'm very dull. I say the same things to the players a lot because I really believe in consistent behaviour and consistent messages. So I don't think the players will be expecting anything too different to what I say to them week in, week out, day in, day out. As you can probably gather, I talk a lot. You know, I talk a lot in training. I talk to the players individually a lot. On a match day, I try to talk very, very little. I try to talk for a very short amount of time and try to be very precise with my words, because I think on the match day they need clear minds and they need all of their energy, and they're not in a brilliant frame of mind to take on huge amounts of information.
I can imagine that, you know, there's lots of inspiration to be taken from different parts of this season, but I imagine, you know, you've spoken very fondly of Jason Turner and things like that. When you're playing at Wembley, is that sort of a thought of, wow, this is sort of where he wanted us to be playing, this is where he wanted us to be competing? Will he be sort of in your thoughts ahead of the final?
Without any question. He's in my thoughts, and I'm sure many other people at the club every single day. There's many things that we do on a day-to-day basis that he was really integral, and so you can't help but remember Jason. But then, of course, apart from all the things that we see around Meadow Lane and that are directly linked to him, just the personality and the energy of the man, and his way of being is not something that you forget very easily. So there will be many a thought of Jason when we're at Wembley, and I'm sure many of the players and staff will be in exactly the same frame of mind as myself.
The final one from me, very quickly. The sort of bit of news today that Rob and Ryan from Wrexham might be going to be coming over to watch your game, and you know they've been very vocal about their support of you and wanting you to go up. Firstly, I wonder what your thoughts were on that. It's almost a little bit weird in a sense that two teams that went sort of right against each other the whole season, pushed each other the whole way, and now the rival is turned and now is supporting you. What do you sort of make of all that and their support?
I think it's brilliant that we're able to be, you know, really fiercely competitive and doing everything we possibly can to try to pip each other to the title, and then be able to be respectful and supportive at the same time. I think it's a brilliant thing. You know, I don't think anybody wants to take the passion and the competition out of football. Far from it. I think we all want rivalry. We want big games. We want passionate performances on the pitch and brilliant moments to celebrate, and the fans to be able to, you know, to be able to wind each other up. But then I think afterwards it's a nice development to be able to see the class side of the two clubs and the respect that the two clubs have shown towards each other. So I think it's brilliant. You know, you look at if you look at Man City and Arsenal at the very, very top level, players that have jumped from one team to the other, a manager and his former assistant, they're up against each other in the fiercest way, and there's no way that either team are taking it lightly. But I'm sure afterwards there's a huge amount of respect for both camps, and I think that's a healthy thing.
Lovely. Thanks very much, Luke, and enjoy the day and best of luck.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Paul?
Hi Luke, how you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks, Paul. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you, I'm good. Just to follow on from that, and I'm sure there's loads of other reasons why you'd want to win promotion, plenty of motivation, but would you like to resume that rivalry with Wrexham next season?
I think it would be brilliant. I think it would be really brilliant. I think that both clubs have a chance to be able to use momentum if we're promoted as well, to make a good fist of League Two, and I'm sure that there'll be this ongoing rivalry between the two clubs, and I think that's really exciting. It's really healthy.
Look, you spoke earlier about consistency, and one thing you've done this season is give the club an identity and a way of playing. Whatever happens, how proud are you of what you've done on that front?
I think that it's something that in football, if you lose completely your identity, or if you want to change your identity but then you change too often, or you change and you don't stick with something, that's when I feel like clubs can get into a really bad place. Because I think if you develop a style of play and you stick to that style, you can help your recruitment team to bring players that they know will have a great chance to perform well in this particular style of play and identity. I think that it can help you connect with the fans, because they feel like they know what they're going to come and see. They know what it looks like, and they can buy into that and start to feel a sense of calmness, that they know what their team is going to do. And fans have spoken to me, had stopped me in the street, and one of the things that they talk about is the fact that they go to the games with a very strong confidence of, like, we know what the game's going to look like. And I think that can be really beneficial to a football club, because I think it can help to streamline your particular club in a certain way. And yes, of course, the game evolves, and the club may want to go in a different direction, and I think that has to be carefully managed. And when I look at many clubs that chop and change, and then a new manager comes and he wants to change all the players, but you can't get all of them out, and now you have almost two squads in the dressing room and there's no harmony. And some fans liked what they were seeing before and don't like the new style, and vice versa. And all of these things are very, very common, as I'm sure you agree, in football. So I would like to try and bring about a sense of consistency and help build something that many people can be involved in and know what it looks like.